Coming up, new details out of D.C. after two National Guardsmen are shot just blocks from the White House. What we know about the gunman and how he entered the United States. Plus, we're watching Thanksgiving celebrations from coast to coast, including a live look at New York's flagship parade. And the future of shopping is here. How AI is helping Americans take full advantage of holiday deals. I'm Nick Smith at our NewsNation headquarters in Chicago. You're watching NewsNation Live, the most unbiased show on cable news. Right now, the bi-coastal terror investigation into the D.C. National Guard shootings. What we've learned about the Afghan shooter and his brutal attack against U.S. service members.
My message to the individual who committed these acts is you picked the wrong target, the wrong city, and the wrong country, and you'll be sorry.
Plus, feeding America. This Thanksgiving, many of the nation's food pantries are struggling to keep up with the urgent demand for many Americans trying to put food on the table this holiday season.
The biggest issue is that families had to go into debt in order to make ends meet.
Plus, giving thanks.
I woke up at a good time today for school, so I didn't miss the bus.
Someone told me that my hair looked really pretty today. There was a new girl at school today, and I think I made a new friend, so.
The Ohio State students going viral for stepping up to the mic to show us all what a little gratitude looks like. And Thanksgiving celebrations are kicking off across the country. How families are coming together to give thanks. Food, fun, and parades this holiday season.
It looks like a mermaid. I like the flora. I like balloons. Why? Because they are really big.
Thank you so much for joining us. We begin in the nation's capital, where a massive multi-agency investigation is underway. This after a gunman opened fire on National Guard troops, injuring two. The suspect, a 29-year-old Afghan national, officials tell NewsNation, he entered the country back in 2021. He's now in custody after what the U.S. attorney is calling an ambush-style attack, only blocks from the White House.
Now, my message to the individual who committed these acts is you picked the wrong target, the wrong city, and the wrong country, and you will be sorry for the violence and the evil that you perpetrated in our nation's capital.
Both of those National Guard members are in the hospital with severe injuries. The shooting leading to a swift response from President Donald Trump. More on that in just a minute. But first, correspondent Tom Dempsey is live in D.C. with the latest. Tom, good afternoon.
Hey, Nick. Yeah, FBI Director Kash Patel has described this as a coast-to-coast investigation literally happening at this minute right now. That shooting that you were talking about all taking place behind me here, just outside of a metro stop here in D.C. on that sidewalk. But the investigator is saying that before that shooting took place, this suspect literally drove across the country from Washington State. And now the U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, is saying those two National Guard members who were shot remain in critical condition.
This was not just an attack. It was a direct challenge to law and order in our nation's capital. And the individual will be made fully accountable. And though it seems that we have been here before under President Trump, make no mistake, and the Attorney General, we will not allow this to be normalized. It will be confronted, condemned, and prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Pirro identified the two National Guard members as 24-year-old Andrew Wolf and 20-year-old Sarah Beckstrom. She said both of them got sworn in as National Guard members less than 24 hours before they got shot on the street here in D.C. But earlier this morning, Nick, a CIA spokesperson confirmed to NewsNation that the suspect in this shooting, 29-year-old Ramanullah Lakanwal, once worked with the U.S. government, including with the CIA as a part of a partner force that came to an end when the U.S. withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021. Investigators say the suspect came to the United States from Afghanistan in September of 2021 as part of the Operation Allies Welcome program, and his permission to be here expired 2 months ago. For some background here, Operation Allies Welcome helped evacuate and resettle 76,000 Afghans after the U.S. withdrew from Afghanistan, and many of them worked alongside U.S. troops as translators and interpreters. But Nick, also as part of the fallout from all this, President Donald Trump has called for 500 additional National Guard members here to patrol the streets of the nation's capital. Nick?
Tom Dempsey with the latest. Tom, thank you so much. In the wake of Wednesday's shooting, President Trump is ordering more troops to the nation's capital, like Tom just said. He's also vowing to impose a stricter crackdown on the country's immigration policies. Correspondent Libby Dean is traveling with the president and joins us live from West Palm Beach, Florida. Libby, good afternoon.
Hey, Nick, happy Thanksgiving to you from Palm Beach, Florida. We know President Trump now wants more immigration enforcement, wants to crack down even further after we learned that suspect in the shooting of those two National Guardsmen from West Virginia, that suspect being an Afghan national, and President Trump making these brief remarks from Florida last night addressing this whole entire situation that went down near the White House yesterday, and saying he wants to re-examine every Afghan immigrant status that was let into the U.S. under President Biden's administration. Let's take a listen to the commander-in-chief.
We must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. If they can't love our country, we don't want them.
So soon after we saw those remarks from President Trump, we actually heard from United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, and they announced the suspension of all immigration applications for Afghan nationals effective immediately. That's the post you're looking at on your screen there. Now, that means asylum claims, work permits, green card applications, and other immigration-related requests, they will all be suspended during this review by the Trump administration, and officials are not saying how long that review is going to last. Now, back here in Palm Beach, where the president is spending his Thanksgiving, Nick, we do expect to see the president later tonight around 6 p.m. when he will speak with U.S. service members, every branch of our military, and we'll be in the room for that, Nick.
Libby Dean, thank you so much. Joining us now is NewsNation national security contributor Tracy Walder. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us on Thanksgiving.
Thank you for having me, Nick. Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you. Tracy, let's jump right into this. The suspect is in custody now, but we understand that he traveled across the country to plan this attack. What happens next in this investigation?
In my opinion, the biggest thing, obviously him traveling that distance speaks to his premeditation, but in my opinion, the biggest thing that they want to ensure is that there are not individuals planning other attacks that he may or may not have been in contact with. My guess is that the FBI is really working overtime to essentially do digital forensics and figure out who he was talking to on really all social media platforms, texting, calling, all of it, to make sure that he has other associates who would commit attacks.
Tracy, please correct me if I'm wrong, but at first blush, it seems as though this is very unsophisticated, that he traveled across and the attack was in broad daylight in the middle of a very busy intersection. You and I are both very familiar with that area.
Yes, exactly. It is very unsophisticated, but to be completely honest with you, Nick, that's what I have been warning about. I think that we have a frame in our mind of what a terrorist attack potentially looks like, right? We go back to 9/11, which is extremely complex, right? It's expensive, and there is a lot of heavy lifting going on. I think what we are seeing, even if you go back to the Bourbon Street attack on New Year's Day of this year, that was also very unsophisticated. And so I think these, unfortunately, are the types of attacks of the future, and they are really, really difficult to track.
Which, Tracy, makes it even more concerning because of how much damage can be done, because clearly the entire community is unsettled by what happened yesterday afternoon. Tracy, we still don't know a motive. The suspect was identified as a 29-year-old Afghan national. FBI Director Kash Patel talked about what they are doing to delve into his background. I want to play part of that sound and chat with you on the other side.
There is confirmation now that the subject had a relationship in Afghanistan with partner forces. We are fully investigating that aspect of his background as well, to include any known associates that are either overseas or here in the United States of America. That is what a broad-based international terrorism investigation looks like.
Now, the USCIS on X posted, quote, effective immediately processing of all immigration requests relating to Afghan nationals is stopped indefinitely. How do all of these pieces inform the investigation into the suspect's motives?
Yeah, that's a hard thing. I actually worked with these individuals when I was in Afghanistan. It's not unusual at all for us to be doing things like this, and this is really difficult because you have to remember these individuals do have intimate knowledge of Americans and of the American intelligence apparatus, if you will, and that makes them dangerous, quite frankly. Some are, some aren't. It's really difficult to determine those motives, those ulterior motives, even though they have been vetted. And so I think probably putting a pause right now on immigration from that area is the right thing to do until we can figure out a better way, in my opinion, to vet these individuals.
And Tracy, I'm glad that you said that, because the inference that they have not been vetted is not true. They have been vetted. It may not have been as deeply as we would have preferred, correct?
100%. So that inference, I do want to say, and I said this earlier, is untrue. They may not have been vetted, just before they stepped off that plane to come here, but there is no question, and I know this because I would get the vetting reports when we were working with individuals in Afghanistan. They were working with CIA, so they were 100% vetted. And I want people to understand, when you vet individuals, you don't necessarily see those terrorist connections. That's something they are going to try to hide. And so I do feel that the vetting process was 100% done. It just may not have been done for that second time, but he definitely was vetted.
And Tracy, the reason I stick with this point is because many of these, and particularly this individual who was brought in 2021 under President Biden, had been among those who had worked closely with men and women in uniform in Afghanistan, or with security professionals helping to achieve our mission in Afghanistan, correct?
100%. And I have to be honest, that's what makes this so difficult and not so cut and dried. I have to say, I'm deeply grateful for their assistance. It is really difficult to collect human intelligence in Afghanistan. It's very familial, it's very clannish. It doesn't work the same way that it does in Western Europe or even Russia and Asia. So we need these Afghan nationals to provide us with intelligence to stop future attacks. And that's what makes this so difficult. Some of these individuals truly could be killed for treason had they stayed in Afghanistan. And so it really isn't such a cut and dried process.
Mm-hmm. And Tracy, without getting too deep into the woods, can we talk about the handgun that the suspect used? Because this is not one that one can get at a simple gun shop.
Yeah, it's really interesting. My guess is, too, in terms of the handgun that he used, I am wondering if it was something that he had received from someone that he knew. I don't think he just walked into a gun shop. I also wonder, based on his immigration status, if you will, if he would have even been given it, to be completely honest, although I think his asylum was approved back in the spring. So, yes, I think where he obtained it from is going to be crucial in this process.
And Tracy, before I let you go, one last question, because we were talking about pausing the immigration status of other Afghan nationals. Tracy, why does this cause such a problem for so many who did the right thing and are possibly hoping to make their home here in the United States because of their assistance when we needed them in Afghanistan?
You're right. Again, that's what makes this so hard. People want us to say, don't let them in at all. But the reality is these people, a lot of them, truly put their lives and their families' lives at risk by helping us gain intelligence to stop terrorist attacks. And so I hope people understand what a lot of these individuals did. And so these individuals now could still be in Afghanistan and, quite frankly, could be killed by the current Afghan government because of their assistance to the United States during Operation Enduring Freedom.
Tracy, I'm reminded of that Afghan withdrawal and so many just clamoring to try to hold on to the plane because they were so desperate to get out of there. My heart aches for those who are caught in the middle of this because of this horrible incident yesterday. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Nick.
Coming up, more on the gunman who opened fire on National Guardsmen in D.C. Who is he? How did he get into the country? That and more ahead. Plus, this Thanksgiving, why millions of Americans are relying on food pantries to get through the holiday.
My name is Staff Sergeant Harold. I'm here with HHBN 3ID G1. I'm currently deployed in Poland. I just want to wish a happy Thanksgiving to my daughter, Addison.